Welcome to the Gamecocks Football Captain's Log, where we as Gamecock fans talk about Gamecock football. And by we, I mean me, Brandon Silvers, and the captain who makes it the Gamecocks Football Captain's Log, the captain of Morris Island Charters, Petey Anabanet. Petey, how are you doing?
Battling some sciatica, but other than that, I'm doing good.
Well, you beat the hell out of that thing, buddy. I believe in you.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Yeah, I believe in you again. I really do. And I kind of believed in the Gamecocks against Georgia heading into that game.
Yeah.
If you can tell by my voice, I was there in Athens, Georgia, cheering on the Gamecocks in the rain. Really a tale of two halves. So what I want to do, we'll talk about what I saw in person, and then I want to see if it matched up with what you saw when you reviewed the tape. First half far exceeded everyone's expectations. We had a pretty sizable contingent there. They stuck us up in the moon. It was ridiculous, but we had a lot of Gamecock fans there. I don't know how you ask for a better half. I mean, the run game was still non-existent, but the pass protection was pretty good enough to give Rattler some time. Defense was bend but don't break. Did it look that good on TV as well, as we were up 14-3 at the half?
So basically what happened with our offense was we did what I kind of hoped we would do, is we got the quick pass going and basically substituted our lack of ability to run for short pass games, just get our guys in space, let them do what they do best and make plays. And that first touchdown was the same thing with Juice Wells. We had the perfect play called for the defense that they ran that play. They had 3 down linemen and sent all their linebackers. So it just opened up the middle of the field, and Juice does what Juice does and gets in the end zone. He did break his foot on the play, but he got us he got half our points on one play.
What a perfect representation of Gamecock football, like an incredible touchdown and a broken foot. Like, you can never be completely happy, it feels like sometimes.
No. It's like, oh, something good happens. That means 3 things are going to go bad at the next play.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were rolling on offense, and whether or not how much of that was Georgia just not, in my opinion, Georgia didn't look ready to play in the first half. And we were. Now we kind of stumbled a few and got some lucky plays with Georgia missing field goals and some bad drops in the first half. So that's what we needed to happen in the first half, and it did. But we could not run the ball in the entire game, and DeCarrion is a fantastic runner. And we got that touchdown. It was just him pushing the lines. He didn't get really any. We got no run blocks the entire game.
So this is something I noticed at the game, was that he would make like 2 or 3 cuts after a handoff and not even be at the line of scrimmage yet. That's how much penetration they were getting. He's having to make guys miss just to get to the line of scrimmage, which to my untrained eye seems bad for a running game.
It is extremely bad for a running game.
You got to at least be able to get past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this about our offensive line. They did much better than I thought they would. They were at least getting in front of guys this game, which is better than I've seen the previous 2 weeks. So 50% improvement on the offensive line. Whether or not we still can't, pass block more than 3 seconds, but at least we can give Rattler time to make a thought in his head and make a pass. So not a complete disaster that I thought it was going to be, but absolutely not stellar.
Yeah. And I know we played the freshman Tree Babalad, is I think how you say his last name. And he was graded out on PFF. He plays left tackle, I think, as a 90 grade on PFF. So to go in there as a freshman against Georgia's defense and do that has to make you a little bit excited about the future of our offensive line, at least. So
this is the first time I'll probably ever, it might be the last time I ever say it, but I'm optimistic about our offensive line.
Mark it down, folks.
Yeah. Put it on the record.
Woo!
If we continue to get better, every week, when it comes later in the season, I think we'll have a pretty decent offensive line. Now we might go out and just, shit the bed next week, but that seems to be kind of our thing to do. But offensive line seemed to be going in the right direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just the whole game, I mean, like I said, I clearly don't have a voice all the way. We were really into the game. Sports, to me, is about talent, execution, and adjustments. And we can't make up the talent gap, obviously, not in game. The talent is what it is. But we were executing well enough to close that gap and making adjustments to where we were better than Georgia, noticeably just better than Georgia that first half. 100%. And then the second half happened.
Yeah.
And
honestly, it kind of started like 5 minutes left into the second quarter.
Yeah.
They started to, realize, we're going to actually have to show up and play today. This is not going to be a 30-point easy game like was predicted. And their offensive line started getting a lot more pressure, a lot more power behind them, and then just started pushing us off the ball. And when they realized that they could just run it down our throats, that's when we were in trouble, because they were trying to bounce it outside and get speed on the outside. And we did really well as far as at least in the first half, keeping them inside and not having missed tackles and bad angles. We got almost every time we got the tackle on first contact, which is one of the biggest pet peeves of mine, as far as I don't care if you give up the yards, but you better bring him down when you touch him.
So that's killing me to watch, because you're right. In the first half, we're stopping them at the point of contact, and there would be multiple guys in there making the tackle.
Yes.
Second half, I don't know. I lost count at how many times we would hit a guy and he would just keep the yards after contact. It's just we didn't matter. The defensive line couldn't get anything done. It was like I was out there trying to get pressure. And the angles too. And so that's where the execution comes into play, because execution is a player thing. If you are not doing what you are supposed to be doing, then you're not executing, and you need to be executed. Because they made their adjustments and we didn't really match their adjustments either. And just the bad angles, even the pass coverage got really weird, where it was there would be multiple times where a DB would be in between the receiver and the ball and just have his back turned to the quarterback, not seeing the ball or anything, and just kind of running around flailing. And I just have never seen anything like that. I want to say that's probably clearly you coach them up in practice, but you are not executing. There's no way we teach DBs to play that way with our back to the quarterback and just not really no awareness.
Really be that you have your back to the quarterback if you're in man coverage and you're scared of getting beat deep or beat on the play, which is probably what was going on. Their wide receivers are better than anyone's, any receivers they're going to see all year probably. And they, DBs, when they're scared of getting beat deep, they're not looking for the ball. They're just keeping their eyes on the receiver and trying to do the best they can that way. But if you also need to be able to read the receiver and know when the ball's coming.
Yeah, and just none of that was going on. It was kind of I'm just going to try to stay as close to this receiver as possible, like you're saying, kind of like a panic situation. And it didn't really matter which route they were running. It was all kind of looked like that because the passes Beck was completing, I didn't think he threw like a great ball,
He
honestly.
doesn't. Can we talk about for 1 second? Beck looks like Napoleon Dynamite with a buzz cut.
So you understand why it's so disheartening to lose
Yeah.
to someone like that.
Got one of the ugliest people I've ever seen on a football field, and that's impressive, especially.
There was a lot of that going on in Athens.
Yeah, well,
He fits right in. You couldn't. You were like, is this a local? Who is this?
yeah,
But he was their quarterback. Yeah, he does.
yeah,
The resemblance it's uncanny, I'd say.
yeah. It's the bug eyes, the big lips, big nose, just weird.
Just
It's weird to see in
unfortunate.
football. Yeah, as a quarterback, and for Georgia, but I'm used to like Matthew Stafford, pretty boys.
Yeah, little frat bro looking like
Yeah.
yeah.
But no,
So
he did not impress me as far as like his throwing ability. He
no,
did get a couple like good runs on us, but that's just how we are. We're going to give up runs to a quarterback when we're not expecting it. So um, we hung around in that game a lot longer than I thought we should have, and most of it was due to just like I think they had some drop balls. They had just like key drop balls and stuff on third down or penalties and stuff that shot themselves in the foot. They had two
yeah,
missed field goals. Got it. Once they figured out that they came out in the second half ready to play,
yeah,
and they were a completely different team in the second half and wanted to just run it down our throats, and we couldn't do anything about it.
yeah, and we couldn't get anything done offensively either. What did you see between the first half and the second half offensively that was different?
So offensively, we did a lot better job blocking the first half, and then in the second half, that went out the window. It kind of built on itself. It like we started getting a little more tired in the third, halfway through the third, on both sides of the ball, and then just became even harder to stop them both ways. We also got a little more away from running quick passes and started trying to do play action and throw down the field. And the two dumbest things I saw was we ran a screenplay on the first play of a series. And why would you do that? A screenplay is when you are knowing that they should be run when you know that they're coming after you. And on the first play of the series, they're normally just, it's a middle coverage. It's not going to be, super. They're not coming after you hard on the first play usually. And then we ran a play action on our own 3-yard line or something, whatever it was, and backed up to our own goal line. So immediately, they're coming. Because it was like 3rd and 17 or something like that. They're coming. Why would you run a play action? You need to get the ball out fast when you can't block for crap anymore. That just terrible ideas on my side.
Okay, so that's great analysis, and I want to say we were all losing our minds. No matter where we are on the field, why would we ever run a play action? I don't think anyone cares if we're going to run the ball. And it was just those weird little play calls
against them.
No,
we've had no success running the ball.
No, and we keep trying like the inside runs, and it just kept getting blown up. So the play calling in the second half, especially, was just super confusing. We've done nothing to try to. I just don't know why you would ever fall for a play action against us ever. So that shouldn't even be in the playbook.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you ever fall for it? You run a play action when they think you might actually run it.
Yeah.
But unless they thought that we were just going to give up on the play and run it, but that'd be dumb too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? I don't understand why we got away from the quick pass, which basically was our version of running the ball, controlling the ball, because we were doing good at that. We were getting separation from the receivers. We had receivers actually step up this game who I They answered some questions. Can we have more than one wide receiver? Yes, we've got several. They might not be stellar, but they're going to get there, I think. So why we're not using them? That's our strong suit. Why are we getting away from our strong suit and running in, play action or mid-range passes? You do that when they think you're going to do the short range. That's when you throw those other passes in there or those other plays in there is when you've got them thinking that you're going with your bread and butter. Why we just stop using it, I can't answer that question. Let's ask Dowell.
It was so confusing because it was like night and day, and it gives me Satterfield flashbacks to where I feel like a guy is kind of showing how much he knows about football as opposed to just coaching the game and calling the game.
Yeah.
Like,
not
I don't
playing
care.
Giving them the best chance to succeed.
Yeah.
Just doing what he wants to run instead of what he should run.
And that worked out fantastic. And you saw it in the difference between Rattler's first half stats and second half stats. Yeah. And if you look at his overall stats, you would think, oh, South Carolina lost this game because of Spencer Rattler if you didn't watch it. But if you watch it, no. He was running for his life. His interceptions came when he was just trying to make something happen at the end.
Oh, those were completely just desperation throws. He had to make something happen, and that's what it was. The only mistake that I know he, was on him, and it really wasn't on him. It was on the coverage. He had a lineman coming down his throat. He got hit on the play, and he had, I think, Knox open on the left side, but they sent two linebackers and got pressure quick. So he overthrew Knox, but he also had his check down. I want to say it was either Anderson or it might have been Joyner in the flats there. So he had two options. He just didn't have time to think about it and get it to where he needed to. He still almost made the conversion. He almost got it to Knox, but it didn't.
That dude has been incredible.
Yeah.
Like, he's been unreal this season. So what are your takeaways from this game overall?
So if we can continue to play like we played in the first half, I think we're in really good shape. We have a chance to beat anybody else we play this year. Maybe not handedly, but we have a chance. I'd say that we're not going to get. I don't think we're going to get blown out by anybody. Now that'll happen regardless because we are who we are.
We'll find a way.
Show up one game. We're going to march a team of kindergartners out there for one game and just say, "Hey, see it happens."
Yep.
So optimistic. I think we're a better team than our record shows. We're getting things figured out. I really want to see how we look mid-season, and game 6 or 8. I think we'll be rolling.
And I think, to me, this was a good game to find out, like, who are your guys? Like, who's going to show up? Who can you count on? So then you have a freshman offensive lineman have that performance. That's impressive. Rattler, obviously, impressive. You love having him. Leggett, again, incredible. Like, he made one of the more athletic catches I've seen where he just hung up in the air forever and pulled down a deep ball. Like, I don't know what's gotten into him. And then TJ Sanders, he was a grown-ass man all day. They just kept calling his name because he was just making tackles. I think he had a sack, a couple tackles for loss. That dude was incredible. And you're right.
Williams played really well, too. I think he had like 11 tackles and 1.5 tackles for a loss.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on the ball. Whether, he didn't have a lot of weight behind it, but he was on it.
Yeah. So
I really like what I saw about them.
I think you're right. There's reason to be optimistic. Like, if we played how we played in the first half against North Carolina, we blow North Carolina out.
For sure. Yeah.
So speaking of Bulldogs and people who we probably should be blowing out, Saturday, 7:30 on the SEC Network, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. How are you feeling about them in this game?
So I've seen nothing out of granted, I haven't watched a lot, but I have not seen anything out of Mississippi State that I like. Nothing jumps out of the screen saying, though, they did this really well. They've played Arizona and LSU, they barely beat Arizona, got blown out with Mississippi LSU, and they played one FCS school. It's nothing. There's nothing about them that I think that we should have any trouble with. I'm amazed that it's only a 6-point spread right now.
Yeah.
And I would expect us to be, I think it probably should be like 10 or 14, honestly. But if we come out and play like we played this week, we crush them.
Yes. I am very excited. Night game, sold out, Williams-Brice Stadium.
Yeah.
This is not the same Mississippi State team that won 9 games last year, even though they have most of the major pieces back. Mike Leach died, obviously. Zach Arnett has decided in his first year of coaching to completely change up the offense from the air raid to a run-based offense, even though they still have Will Rogers there. So just to give you an idea, Rogers last season averaged over 360 yards passing a game.
Yeah.
Through 3 games this year, he has 492 total.
That seems like great math right there.
Like, that is your strength, and you've completely gone away from it. And another thing that I like is that they went into overtime against Arizona, like you said, and got blown out against LSU. They gave up 340 plus yards each of those games passing. When you got a guy like Rattler at home with the receivers he's got, if we get just a fraction of the pass protection we got this past week, I think it could get ugly. I think you're right.
I think it very easily could get very one-sided very quickly. So if I was
let's do that. So we've got a new segment, okay? So we're in South Carolina. We don't do illegal things.
Correct.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So gambling's not legal. So we can only do it for entertainment, just not real. But if we were to bet on this game, it would be for entertainment purposes. But why would we do it for entertainment purposes when you can take the Dolphin cruise with Morris Island Charters? So we should do it for entertainment purposes. I almost fucked that. I almost messed that up real bad because the words are too close. But you see.
Yeah. So this is for entertainment purposes only.
See, he can say it. He knows.
Yeah.
So if you had to bet for entertainment purposes, 6-point spread right now, South Carolina favored by 6. What is the captain doing?
I would take South Carolina. Home game at Williams-Brice, killer offense, especially throwing the ball. And I think you come into Williams-Brice for a night game. Our first home game against a FBS team, it's going to be popping. So I would definitely go with South Carolina in this game if I were going with the entertainment purposes.
You and me and Flipper all agree. I just don't see we're coming off a game where we lost it. You don't believe in moral victories, but we got to be feeling pretty good against ourselves. We hung in with the number 1 team in the country, and probably you could see where we should have beaten them. They're coming off a game. We were watching LSU, Mississippi State at a bar in Athens pregame, and they changed the channel before halftime. It was so ugly. Like giving up 30 for 34, 361 yards and 2 touchdowns to Jaden Daniels, who is not as good of a passer as Spencer Rattler. They better be scared. And this was a game going into the season I was unsure about. Hey, I bet every Dolphin on this planet we win that game by more than 6.
Yeah, I think LSU had like 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. It might have been like 27-3 halfway through the second quarter. I don't see this. I don't think LSU is particularly fantastic football team.
No,
they're a really good one, but obviously Mississippi State's got some problems, and I think we the way we throw the ball, I think we've got a real chance to make this a blowout.
And we will. So,
Yep.
again, smooth sailing, choppy waters, or mayday?
I'm going to say smooth sailing. I hate to
I'm
be
going to have to
optimistic, but I
agree.
am.
I mean, I think you're right.
Yep.
You can't, obviously, you can't go game to game, and we've never been a consistent enough team
No.
to think, oh, this performance will carry over. But Georgia is better than LSU. And we
Yes.
played Georgia really well and looked like we might have a shot at pulling that one out at Georgia. Mississippi State looked god awful.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a nice, easy sunset cruise at Morris Island Charters on Saturday at Willie B.
So let me ask you this: what were your thoughts after at halftime? What were you thinking? What was going to happen?
Well, there's always that little bit of fear
Yeah.
being a Gamecock fan, but there's also that lot of bit of delusion, right? So I was like, if we get out and hold them and get the ball back and go score, this thing's over. Even holding them to a field goal and come back down and score a touchdown, this thing is over. I think they'll quit. And then this just shows you how crazy I am. When they scored the touchdown, I was like, okay, well, if we just come back and answer, we're good to go. That will show me a lot, and I will probably get in a fight at the stadium. But then I think we came back after they scored the touchdown and
went 3 and out.
3 and out. Then they scored again, and then you could kind of feel everyone like, oh yeah, that's right. We're Gamecock fans.
Yeah, well, that's so you were like you're a little bit more optimistic than me because I was like, okay, we're up 14-3 at halftime. How are we going to fuck this up? Because I know it's going to happen. We're not this good. We're gonna make this look like we're good in the first quarter. Georgia's going to come out and just cream us in the second half, and that's basically what happened. But there's been times I've thought before when we actually did win, but I'm even when we're doing really well, I never think that, oh yeah, we're gonna win this. I'm always like, where's the nuclear bomb going to come from that I'm not expecting to kill us at the last minute?
It was very scary, but then it didn't take long in the second half. When you see offensive linemen, when they're rushing for not touch anybody and then a minute immediately sprinting back to try to help and touch someone, you're like, okay, I just hope Rattler lives. And then when you see what's happening on the defensive line, it didn't take long and we all came back to reality. But what a half, though.
Yeah, it's hard for me to even get excited about that first half too, because I'm like, this isn't real. This is just a fantasy we're living through. I won't believe it until that time comes to 0 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and so well, it didn't happen. And then you're sitting there in the second half, and all the Georgia fans who'd been like quiet as a church mouse the first half, now they're getting into their Georgia fan really uncreative trash talk. By the way, I was kind of disappointed. And you're sitting there in the rain, and you're like, I'm in the rain, listening to these clowns, and my team is about to lose. I've driven 4.5 hours or whatever to see this. A hell of an experience, but it did get very depressing there at moments.
Well, it's definitely an experience. At least it wasn't like last year.
That's true. Was able to stay the whole game. But I tell you what, if you don't like being super high and excited with a tinge of fear, only to have that fear realized and come send you crashing back down to earth, then you don't like Gamecock football.
That's true.
All right. I think we covered it all.
I think so.
Boom. Crushed it. Check out the show notes. If you want to tour with Captain Petey, it's the best tour you will go on. And he might tell you what's wrong with your football team too.
One and only can ask.
So, all right. We will catch y'all next week.
Bye-bye.